Hello and welcome to Zio Incorporated's tutorial on replacing a Macbook screen, a Macbook inverter, and a Macbook inverter power cable. Many people are having problems with a cracked screen, a bad inverter, or possibly a bad inverter power cable. This guide will help you go through replacing the screen, replacing the inverter, and also replacing the inverter power cable. Starting off with this guide, we're going to start taking apart the MacBook. I'm going to give you a step-by-step video tutorial on removing the screen, removing the actual top of the unit, removing the inverter, and changing everything out. To take apart the top bezel off the top of the laptop screen, you're going to need a very small flathead screwdriver. You can pick these up at your local hardware store. Just make sure this is not something that you would get off a regular workbench. You need something about this small. To start this process, you're going to carefully insert the flathead screwdriver underneath the plastic bezel and start pulling it off clip by clip. There's little plastic gray clips underneath this. And be very careful with these because the clips will bend and it will cause you a lot of problems later on when you go to put this thing back together. Now the bottom down here comes off a little bit differently, so you take two middle fingers and pry them until you get the pieces off. That's the best way to do it without breaking anything. Now I'm going to go over something real quickly with you. This will definitely help you later on. Here's one of the little gray pieces here. As you can see, there's actually two clips on each side. Be very careful with these because later on they're going to either be on these white pieces here on this piece of plastic, or they're going to stay inside the actual metal hinges. If they start, the best way when you go to put the screen back on is to take these little plastic pieces off of the white bezel and put them back on the screen before you pop the plastic back on there. You can bend the piece, if you accidentally bend the gray pieces, you can bend them out with that same flathead screwdriver that you used, and then make sure that they'll go back on. I'll cover this later on when we put it back together. Now, when you're taking these screws out, you really want to keep track of them. Most of the new MacBooks have blue paint on the end of the screws, and what I usually do when I'm taking these out is I make a diagram on the table next to me of where they go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start taking these screws out one by one, placing them on the table over here. Another thing that's really nice, if you don't have your screwdrivers magnetized, there's actually magnets in this laptop screen, and you can just take your screwdriver and touch them to this magnet piece up here, and your screwdriver is now magnetized. So you won't try not to lose these screws. They're really small. I'm going to take out each one. Now these screws are really easy to strip, so make sure you have a firm hold on them before you start taking them out. The top left and right hand corner screws do not need to come out, as they are holding on the plastic for the back of the laptop screen. Just continue to take all these screws out and then proceed to the next step of this video.